Hello, my name is Victor, and today I'm going to be going over the basics of issue section. How I see my job and what I do every day is we're like Amazon, but we're worse. I'm kidding, we're like the U.S. Postal Service. You'll get your packages on time. The three things that we really do is that we verify the customer is who they are, we check that they sign in, we check that they have a badge, we verify the parts are right. We verify the parts match the list. We verify the parts match the part with the paperwork. And then we do a final check to make sure that they signed for the part and that everything is good to go on our end. So the first thing we're going to do is have the customer come in with this fancy looking badge here. And if they don't have one, we won't take them. We'll tell them to please go back to the front and sign in correctly. And once they do that, we'll tell them to sign in this fancy book here with their respective customer information, like who they are, their phone number, and what customer bin they're picking up for, or their address that they're picking up for. So when we go over there to go check for the customer's part, we're going to print off a list. And this list is going to tell us what we have in the customer's bin. So once we do that, we'll go over there. We'll grab one of these parts, and then we'll look at the part and then grab the paperwork out of there and check if it matches this paperwork to that paperwork and to the part itself. Once we do that, we put the part onto the bin, and then we mark it off on the list. Once we do all that, we bring the parts over here and we give them to the customers. Once we do that, we wait for the customers to sign each of these parts, since there's two of them. One of them goes to them, one comes to us for our records. So once they sign them, Once they sign them, they're gonna go onto this fancy tablet right over here, and they're going to come on there and verify that they checked off each of these parts saying they received them, and that they processed them saying that they are owning these parts and they're therefore responsible for their parts. Once we've seen that they've done the checks and processed everything, we're going to print out another piece of paper. And this piece of paper is saying that, hey, this customer received all these parts and they're good to go. Once we've printed them out, the customer is going to sign the first sheet saying that these are the parts they saw, and then the second sheet, which is saying these are the parts that they got. Once that's done, we are going to load up any of their parts that are too manageable or heavy for them to lift into their vehicles, which is a forklift or a pallet jack out there to their vehicles. We take their badge back and we process and we file all our paperwork up. If a customer is missing a part from this list, what we'll do is we'll go through our files, see if perhaps if they didn't pick it up the last time, or we never received it from one of the other sections here, and we'll do the research to figure out what happened and why they didn't receive that part. Because if they don't receive that part, they'll possibly have to reorder the part and spend more money on that part, and that really just drives up the budget. In summary, so first we make sure they sign in, get a badge, come back here. Next, we'll get the list, make sure they verify who they are. We verify the parts that match with the paperwork and the list. Secondly, we went and let the customer sign for all those parts. Thirdly, we do the final checks and make sure they sign this piece of paper here, and the piece of paper saying they picked up, and one of these pieces of paper saying they got the part. That's literally what I do every day. It's not bad, and it's the end of my speech.